Well, good afternoon. I'm Reverend David. Thank you for joining me today for Disciple Time as we continue on our series, Journey to Jerusalem. And today we're looking at women of faith. And what we're specifically going to look at today is kind of going beyond what we looked at this past Sunday, which was kind of like the listening of Mary and her desire to be in the presence of Christ versus the busyness of Martha. And, that type A personality that wants to go, 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 and just can't sit still in the presence of God. Well, we're going to go beyond that day. We're going to look at a particular woman of the faith and look at something very deep and specific. And before we get into that, I just want to point out here how I have the picture of Jesus and Mary and Martha on our Journey to Jerusalem map. I kind of like doing this. It's kind of fun. But I want to point out Galatians chapter 3, verse 28, because we have a very profound verse written by Paul to the church in Galatia here. He says, "There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free person, there is not male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus." Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about how Christ has removed all of these barriers between people and united us in Christ and his work? Well, let's look at this specific person today, Saint Phoebe. This is arguably a first century deacon. Some scholars might disagree with that. But let's look here at Romans 16, 1 through 2, and let's look at the case for Phoebe, okay? It says, "I commend to you our sister Phoebe, a deacon of the church in Cenchrea. I ask you to receive her in the Lord in a way worthy of his people, and to give her any help she may need from you, for she has been the benefactor of many people, including me." So Paul is writing to the church in Rome, and he's asking them to receive his sister Phoebe because she is considered a deacon and a benefactor. And we want to look at these two words today, and we're going to look at the Greek words, all right? And we're going to do that using the Bible Gateway software and Bible Hub software and some lexicons. Let's first look at Romans 16:1. He says, "I commend to you our sister Phoebe, a deacon of the church in Cenchrea." Now, some translations translate that word deacon as servant, and there might be some other translations out there. But I want to point out the note that the commentators made in the Bible Gateway software. It says here, the word translated deacon, and that Greek word, by the way, is diakonon, refers here to a Christian designated to serve with the overseers, elders of the church, in a variety of ways. Similarly, this word is used in Philippians 1:1 and 1 Timothy 3:8 and 12. And if you look at some of these other places this word is used, it's used and translated as deacon when it's talking about men. So why do some of the translators try to translate this as servant instead of deacon? Well, that's a debate that goes back far in the church and has been looked at many times. But let's go and look at the second verse here. It says, "I ask you to receive her in the Lord in a way worthy of his people, and to give her any help she may need from you." Okay, he's basically asking them to work under her, for she has been the benefactor of many people, including me. Well, this word benefactor, if you look in Thayer's Greek lexicon about this word, you see that this is the word that is translated benefactor from the Greek word prostatis, right? And what does that word mean? Well, it's like a patron. It's properly a woman set over others. Well, that might be unpopular for some to hear. It's not unpopular for me. I came from a Protestant background, and specifically the United Methodist Church, before I became Evangelical Catholic. And in the United Methodist Church, we ordained deacons and female elders and set them as overseers of the church. as far back as, oh man, I can't even think of the dates, but it goes way back in the Methodist Church. Of course, we all know the Anglican Church and many other denominations are already doing this. And in fact, in the Evangelical Catholic Church, we do it also. But what's another meaning here? A female guardian, a protectress, a patroness. Look what it says, caring for the affairs of others and aiding them with their resources. That's exactly what Paul had called the deacons to do, to serve others, to help them with their resources, to care for the widows and orphans that were being neglected. These were people that were set in key ministry positions in the church. Well, I like there's another place for those of us that read Give Us This Day. This is like a Catholic devotional. And in September issue, we see a really interesting article about Phoebe. It says, the more interesting speculation regards her designation as a deacon. There's that word, diakonos. The same word used in Acts 6 to designate those men appointed to serve the local church, attending particularly to the needs of the poor. In any case, she was commended by St. Paul for her help to others, including himself. She stands for many unnamed women who minister in the church and play an indispensable role in spreading the gospel. And I think this is an important thing that I'm drawing from this particular Blessed Among Us article in Give Us This Day. The fact that, Phoebe is one that stands for many unnamed women who minister in the church, and there's so many women. I think the church, at least in the United States, would shut down if women were not in key ministerial roles of leadership. And another thing that was kind of in this was pointing out this homily of Romans done by St. John Chrysostom. And I like to read some of the works of John Chrysostom. He's one of the church mystics, and I like what he says here. Note how many ways Paul dignifies Phoebe. He mentions her before all the rest, and even calls her sister. It is no small thing to be called the sister of Paul. Moreover, he has mentioned her rank of deacon as well. So way back in the church, in the day of John Chrysostom, we can see that at least he, and he's a saint, recognizes Phoebe's rank as a deacon in the church. So, of course, I think this is going to continue to be looked at, talked about, and whatever. And what is the application for our journey today? Well, that is this. Don't let your age, your race, your gender, your nationality, or your economic status be used by people or the devil to make you feel unusable or less worthy of use in God's church and God's kingdom. Why? Because all people, and I want to repeat that, all people are created in God's divine image and are of sacred worth. And I just want to go back to that profound verse in Galatians 3:28 where it says, there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free person, there is not male and female, for all are one in Christ Jesus. What does it mean to you that all are one in Christ Jesus? I'm Reverend David. Thank you for joining me today for our journey to Jerusalem. Women of the faith, have a blessed day.